Florida is awesome, but expensive. Okay, here's the thing. Since deciding to up and move here 3.5 years ago, I have talked to a lot of people about this. People tend to feel very strongly about this. They either say it's very expensive here or it's very cheap here. Here's the thing. I think it all depends on where you're moving from. We moved from the state of Washington. Housing is cheaper here for us. I know, like, when we have friends come visit, they make comments about the groceries being cheaper, especially like if they go get a case of beer or White Claw or something. They're like, wow, that is so cheap here. We've also noticed with restaurants. So my husband was recently back in Washington, and a restaurant we used to go to all the time had a 6-ounce filet mignon steak dinner for $58. We went out to dinner here last night. I got a 6-ounce filet mignon dinner for $38. 38 versus 58. Came with rolls, came with a side, came with a salad. Comparable meal, comparable like fanciness of a restaurant. So I think it all just kind of depends on what you're used to. If you're coming from like certain areas on the West Coast, I think it seems to those people that it's more affordable here. Whereas if you're coming from maybe like some of the other southern states, I'm not an expert on all those states, but it sounds like for people coming from those states, Florida's more expensive. And for people who have lived in Florida their whole life, they're only seeing the prices go up. So of course it seems more expensive to them because it is, but it's more expensive everywhere than it used to be.
You need to make 3 times the rent in the state of Florida in order to be able to lease an apartment. Make it make sense, Florida. How is it that if I need a 3-bedroom and let's say average is $3,000 for a 3-bedroom apartment, okay? That's not including utilities. You need to make 3 times the rent. You need to make 3 times the rent. So this is why women in marriages, in abusive marriages, emotionally, physically, or whatever the case may be, they think about it twice. How can you possibly afford to move out? Because the difference with like regular, like let's say you want to rent a home, right? You will have to have your first month, your security deposit, whatever, right? Right. But not every person has that saved. People, the average American don't have 3 months to live without a job. And those are just facts. So imagine an average mom with kids, okay, that doesn't receive any government assistance, hardworking mom like me. You need to make 3 times the rent. So that means that in order for me to qualify for an apartment, I have to make 3 times. And if you don't, they have other options. Because I may not be dramatic. But if you do not, you need a co-signer. People, nowadays, nobody likes to co-sign for nobody. I don't care what it is. It could be your brother, your sister. No one is gonna co-sign for you because you're basically putting your credit and your responsibility that if that person don't pay, you're responsible for it. Or the other option is, I believe that you pay a higher deposit amount. But then I go back again. Then who has in their pocket liquid $7,000, $5,000? Again, the average American doesn't have savings. With egg prices, with housing, with taxes, with healthcare, do you know how many times people think about not going to the doctors because they don't want to do the co-payment thing? This is America. This is America. You can be the hardest hard worker and you're not receiving a dime from government assistance and you're still struggling. Oh, and I forgot. There's no rent control in Florida. So you can be paying $2,000 this year, and if next year they decide to upcharge you $300, $200, $400, like they did to meet your rent, you have 2 options: either pay or move out, and then we go back to square one.
So CNBC says that Florida has the best economy in the United States. So I was just wondering how you guys not in Florida are surviving out there. Okay, our minimum wage is $15 an hour. So if you work 40 hours a week at minimum wage, that's $2,400 before taxes are taken out. And I'm just going to assume that most people that are making minimum wage, which is a lot of people in Florida, are renting. And my friend, his last apartment, it was a 790 square foot apartment, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Very small, not on the water, nothing special, one small pool. And when he left there about 6 months ago, his rent was $1,975. So I don't understand how, and you guys out there in other states, we have so many unhoused people, so many people begging, just to be able to eat. I hear people talking all the time that they're having to eat one meal a day because they're giving the food to their children, or they're just not making the money at all. So how are you guys surviving out there if Florida has the best economy? I can't imagine how much worse it's going to get with everything that's happening, especially with the Medicaid cuts and stuff. We have so many retired people down here that depend on those services and stuff.
Florida is becoming impossible to live in, and I swear it's being done on purpose. And they're especially making homeownership so difficult. With the interest rates being as high as they are, we are also battling insurance prices being sky high, and people are completely priced out of homes that they could have bought 2 years ago or even last year. I have a friend that's selling her home because her insurance has increased over $10,000 in 1 calendar year with absolutely no claims. Car insurance continues to be high, and that's coming from somebody with a perfect driving record, no accidents. For the months of January and February, my electricity bill was over $250 for a 1,000 square foot condo, and I am not even running the heat when I'm not home. Even if you can't afford to buy a home, going into a rental is absolutely insane right now. I am currently looking for a new place to live. I pay $2,200 a month for that 1,000 square foot condo, and my rent is increasing to $2,300 unless I find a new place. Insane. And unfortunately, I'm stuck because there's no options in my kids' school zone that is in my price point. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the job market. I don't know if all these businesses took out PPP loans and they're just posting jobs for the heck of it to get the government off of their back or what. But I think this job market, at least in my area, and I've even for shits and giggles applied to jobs that I am overqualified for or my qualifications exactly match in other areas, and I am just not hearing back. I apply for anywhere from 3 to 5 jobs per day, any pay range. I don't care. Any qualification, entry level. I will compete with anybody just to get myself into a stable position and get myself into the door. I do have a job. I am working retail right now, but it is not paying the bills, which really sucks because I do have a lot of fun at the job. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think the reason why Florida is so difficult to live in right now is because of the way they handled COVID. And I'm not talking policies. I'm talking the powers that be. Because we were thriving during COVID. Everything was fine. Job market was great. Everything was just flowing as if nothing happened and the rest of the country is struggling. I don't know, man. I'm over it.
Florida is so broke right now, people are literally financing their groceries like a car note. Florida has officially turned into the second most financially distressed state in America. Of course, only Texas beat them out. When I saw it, I thought, dang, Florida and Texas are in competition with each other to see who can treat their people the worst. See, here's the wild part. A new study found that 25% of Floridians are financing their groceries using buy now, pay later. You heard that right. Loans. We finance cars, homes. Some people even do it to furniture. Now it's chicken wings, bread, and milk. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me because when you look at Florida, a huge part of the problem is the elderly. And it's not like grandma can go get a side hustle at Amazon or the grocery store to make up for the money that she misses every month. The elderly don't have that option. It means that they're feeling the squeeze tighter than anybody else. And the squeeze is brutal. People are delaying payment, racking up late fees, filing bankruptcy, or just straight up not paying bills no more. That's not living paycheck to paycheck. That's survival on credit. And just note, it's not just a Florida story or a Texas story. When two of the largest states in the country are collapsing under the weight of necessities, that means it's a sign that it's happening everywhere. So if Florida is drowning while selling sunshine and palm trees, imagine what it looks like in states that don't have the tourism economy to fall back on. And quiet as kept, Florida ain't got it to fall back on no more either. So remember, America will sell you a dream, but it will make you finance the groceries just to stay alive. And if you think it's normal, then you've already accepted living in a nightmare.